Hi guys and welcome back to IamCasa. I'm here today at Watches and Wonders 2023 in the VACHERON CONSTANTIN booth with Sandrine Donguy. Merci to have me, and it's a pleasure to have this little, talk about the novelties.
Yeah, it's a pleasure for myself as well and for your audience.
Super. First of all, again, thank you. Congrats on novelties. I can see there's a fil rouge.
Of course.
But for those who don't know you yet, you are, again?
The fil rouge, I'm Sandrine Donguy, sorry. I'm Sandrine Donguy. I'm in charge of innovation, product marketing and creative design team. I'm the director of this entire team.
Which seems really involved with this year's novelties, I have to say.
Yeah.
So, we have a fil rouge, which is the Retrograde.
Of course.
And where does it come from for you?
The fil rouge comes from our heritage because, at VACHERON Constantin, we have this special display signature across the caliber. And that's true that since the 20s, we use this kind of special way of displaying the time. First on the table clock and then back on a very specific piece that we named the Dan Pancho, combining a retrograde date, a minute repeater, and also a small second and the days at 6 o'clock. It was quite incredible at that time to combine all these functions on a tonneau-shaped timepiece with a crown at 12 o'clock. So that's the first, I would say, trace we have in our archives with this retrograde signature. And in fact, we found very interesting to play on this fil rouge across different collections. Very traditional, I would say, classic on the Patrimony. I will say also on traditional, rather classic, but twisted with very contemporary aesthetic on traditional tourbillon retrograde. And of course, the first time a watchmaker is introducing a date retrograde function on a sporty timepiece.
Impressive, because I'm very used to see your complications on the more classic timepieces. So where is what's your direction towards complication, and what do you think will be the future of complication? Will we see a lot on sports watches as well? Because it's a great start.
Alors, of course, we explore different dimensions. I will say over the last few years, we've developed a lot of high complication on the overseas with the integration of complete perpetual calendar, and tourbillon with skeletonized version on titanium timepieces. So I would say we enlarged the sporty collection, but also we enlarged the classic with more tourbillon, more combo and function, up to grand complication with the incredible timepiece dual moon grand complication on Les Cabinotiers, combining 11 complications. So there's many ways to explore, either I would say on combo of complication, but also on aesthetic angle. And we've chosen as well with the tourbillon retrograde date that we can play on a very transversal signature, design signature, to be, I would say, something that we will keep in our portfolio for a long time with additional traditional functions, such as the tourbillon.
Sure. And seeing it on the overseas was a huge thing for me, because it's maybe the most appreciated watch from the wider audience and from young people as well. Do you think that this will lead also my generation to the word of complication that I think you are very familiar with, because maybe somehow we're more used to simple sport watches?
This kind of attributes as a retrograde date was really not expected on such a sporty timepiece.
Exactly.
The idea behind is that on many sporty collection, you are familiar with automatic dual time chronograph, simple display, or complication. Here, the idea was really to enlarge this offer, to surprise our clientele, and to give something new, and why not, as you were mentioning, to educate the young generation, the local clients, with this kind of rather traditional attributes, such as the retrograde date.
Yeah, thank you. And it's nice to see the coherence between all the three families, which are very different between one another, but still very like sons of the same philosophy somehow.
Exactly.
And also the pairing with the moon phase is pretty remarkable. But I see we have something more today, right?
Yes. We've got one gold nut I think we've kept for today. We are pleased to introduce a new novelties on Traditionnel, which is another tourbillon with green hint, green satin finish decor for the dial, matching the green alligator strap on a platinum case, equipped with the self-winding 2160 caliber with the peripheral oscillating weight, also inherited from the 2162 with the retrograde date, but with a knack treatment. Here it's rhodium plated. And I hope that everyone will appreciate the tone-on-tone matching between the bracelet and the dial, very refined and elegant in the tone of Vacheron Constantin green.
Absolutely. It's not a retrograde, but
no,
it's
still another classic.
It's still very cool. Talking about sizes, because I was really impressed. I saw the novelties just the other day, and unfortunately, being Italian, I'm always a fan of small sizes somehow. And I appreciate this one because, of course, bigger size compared to the new 34.5. This could be considered big, but of course, it's way more readable, and it helps to have all the complications. But I think we all agree on the fact that new sizes and smaller sizes are kind of a trend. So can we expect complications as well on smaller sizes?
We try to. If I can take an example of this timepiece with the new retrograde date on the caliber itself, the base caliber is a tourbillon, and in fact the watchmakers already had in mind where they developed the caliber to have alternative with additional modules such as the retrograde date. And that's why when we introduced this function, the watchmakers, they were able to reduce by 1 millimeter the main plate of, I would say, the base caliber, to be able to have at the same level the retrograde date and the tourbillon carriage. That's something that starts from the first thinking of which complementary function you will add to your initial base caliber in order to have something very compact. You were mentioning about small sizing. It's still 41 millimeter, but 11 millimeter thick, which is quite, I would say, coherent and smooth for a classic timepiece.
Sure, thank you. And you did something unexpected for all of us, because following last year's popularity of the reintroducing, we can say rebirth?
You can say rebirth.
Amazing. Of the 222, which was a huge icon. How come that there's not a 222 in still this year, but a retrograde? What was the decision behind that?
I would say we were lucky at Vacheron Constantin. We have a playful ground in terms of heritage on different collections for classics, vintage, as you were mentioning. And within this portfolio, we've got the historic collection along rarity and exclusivity. The idea behind is really to give a second birth to this very iconic aesthetic, and of course to stay faithful to this heritage. And the 222 existed, of course, in different materials, steel, gold in different sizes, but we started with the jumbo, I would say the 37 millimeter in precious gold, because it was one of the most awaited timepiece. But of course, we will explore multiple variations, not only on the 222, I will say also other timepieces in terms of case, different lugs, many ideas in our mind, but we have more ideas than what we can develop on a yearly basis, I would like to say. The idea this year is again to play on the heritage, but to see the creativity and the excellence we can both combine at Vacheron Constantin to explore a new dimension. I would say another 222 would have been expected this year.
Yes,
so if you want to keep the surprise and give a gold nut and cookies for your audience, for us it's also important that we keep the surprise for another story. Not to say that we won't go further on the 222 or any kind of historical timepieces, but the idea is to tell another story this year.
So now we need a new Don Pancho, a rebirth of it as well. It would be very nice.
Why not?
Wow. Well, thank you so much for all this. It's very insightful, I have to say. So I don't know what to wait next. Maybe a retrograde 222 could be pretty cool for next year, I have to say. Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
You guys let us know which one was your favorite, and if you were expecting this many retrograde. And if you did know the story of the retrograde in Vacheron Constantin, thank you so much for having me. It was a real pleasure. And
pleasure
well,
for me as well.
see you next salon. Then I really want to know what's next.
See you next year.
Thank you so much. Bye, guys.
Bye.